What if I told you that 7,000 elite German soldiers were routed by less than 60 dying men? Men who were already coughing up their own lungs. Men who had, by every law of science, already lost. This is not a metaphor. This is not a legend. This happened. August 6th, 1915, Eastern Front. Osowiec Fortress, a crumbling Russian stronghold surrounded by the most powerful army on earth. The Germans had tried everything. Months of relentless artillery, siege after siege. Nothing worked. So they went darker, much darker. They decided to use a weapon that had no honor, only death. 30 gas batteries, 900 cylinders of chlorine and bromine. Enough poison to erase the city. And the Russians inside had no gas masks, no chemical protection, no warning, no hope. The German commanders were certain. After this, there would be nothing left to fight. They were right about the poison. They were catastrophically wrong about what came next. August 6th, 4 in the morning. The Eastern Front is silent. No artillery, no gunfire, just wind. The German chemical officer checks the breeze with a wet finger. East, perfect. He gives the nod. 100 hands reach for 100 valves. The hissing begins. Quiet at first, then everywhere. The gas doesn't explode. It doesn't roar. It simply flows. A dark green wall, 9 meters high, moving silently across no man's land, hugging the ground, flowing into every trench, every crevice, every crack. The grass beneath it turns black instantly. Not burned, black, chemically incinerated by contact alone. Birds fall from the sky mid-flight. Leaves shrivel. Copper buckles turn green within seconds. The 226th Zemliansky Infantry Regiment is asleep. Then, a strange sweetness fills the air. Not pleasant, metallic, wrong. The kind of smell that makes your body understand before your mind does. Then, the burning starts. First, the throat, then the chest, then something far worse than pain. Chlorine gas reacts with moisture in the lungs. It converts it, chemically, into hydrochloric acid. Your own body becomes the weapon used against you. Your lungs begin to dissolve from the inside out. Men wake up already dying, clawing at their faces, unable to understand what is happening. There are no gas masks in the forward trenches. Protocol says wrap your face in wet cloth, any cloth. Soldiers tear their undershirts, pour water on them. Some use urine. Ancient desperation meets modern chemistry. It slows the poison. It does not stop it. The first defensive line goes silent within minutes. The second line falls. Then the third. The silence that replaces the screaming is somehow more terrifying. 3 entire companies. Gone. Dissolved into the green mist like they were never there at all. The gas cloud stretches 40 kilometers wide. Nothing behind it has any reason to still be alive. Behind the cloud, the German infantry assembles. 14 battalions. Over 7,000 men. These are not conscripts. These are Landwehr veterans. Disciplined, decorated, and completely confident. Their orders are insultingly simple. Walk forward. Occupy the ruins. No resistance is expected. Officers brief their men like it's a training exercise. Move in formation. Secure the perimeter. Done. The vanguard enters the cloud's trail. Guns relaxed. Bayonets unfixed. This is a mop-up, not a battle. They pass the first wire entanglements. Only bodies. Contorted. Green-stained. The gas did everything. They step over the fallen without stopping. Morale is high. This is what total victory looks like. The fortress walls appear through the clearing mist. Cracked. Scorched. Silent. Exactly as predicted. German officers observe through field glasses. No movement. No muzzle flash. No signs of life anywhere. One German commander reportedly said, "There is nothing left. We are marching into a cemetery." He was wrong. Deep in the ruins, in the gas-soaked earth, one man refused to accept the arithmetic. Sub-Lieutenant Vladimir Kotlinsky, 21 years old, commander of the 13th Company's shattered remnants. His eyes are bleeding. His uniform is soaked in blood and chemical burn. He cannot stop coughing. Each cough brings up something darker than blood. Tissue, dissolved from inside. He knows what that means. He counts his men. Fewer than 60 are still standing. Most cannot see clearly. Several cannot speak. Any rational commander in history would order a retreat. Kotlinsky does not consult logic. He consults rage. He turns to his 60 broken soldiers, and he gives an order that defies every military calculation. Fix bayonets! The metallic click of 60 bayonets locking into place echoes through the poison-thick air. These men know they are dying. Kotlinsky knows he is dying. They all know, and they money anyway. This is not courage. Courage involves a choice. These men have already moved beyond the need for choice. They wrap their faces in rags soaked in blood and chemical fluid. They can barely breathe. They charge. The German vanguard, perhaps 1,000 men, is moving confidently through the forward trench lines. Then, movement in the mist, shadows rising, not one, not 10, dozens, rising from the poisoned earth. The German point man stops walking. He stares. His brain cannot process what his eyes are sending it. These things are not soldiers. Soldiers stand upright. Soldiers have faces. Soldiers don't move like this. The figures are hunched, staggering, wrapped in dark, blood-soaked rags, eyes red and swollen shut. They make sounds. Not battle cries, not screaming, something worse, wet, rattling, biological. The sound of 60 men coughing blood while running at you. Nothing in military training prepares you for that. The German sergeant at the front raises his rifle. His hands are shaking. He cannot find a clear shot. The figures are getting closer, fast. Faster than dying men should be able to move. The bayonets catch the light. Geister! Ghosts. The word spreads through the German ranks like ignition through a powder trail. One man breaks, then 3, then a squad. The organized German formation begins to fracture at the edges. This is how mass panic works. It doesn't start with the generals. It starts with one terrified man. The Russian dead men slam into the German vanguard. No tactics, no formation, pure kinetic desperation. Hand-to-hand combat erupts in the mist. The Germans outnumber them 15-1. It doesn't matter. A soldier who is already dying fights differently. He has no fear of injury, no instinct for self-preservation. Kotlinsky, bleeding from his mouth, drives his sword into the German line personally. He is a ghost commanding ghosts. The German vanguard breaks. The panic cascades rearward like a shockwave through the entire formation. The men in the back cannot see what's happening. They only see the men in front of them, running. When a trained German soldier runs, the soldier behind him assumes the threat is catastrophic. He also runs. Within minutes, 7,000 men are in full retreat, fleeing from 60 suffocating, half-blind Russians. The retreat becomes a rout. Men trample each other. Discipline, the German army's greatest strength, collapses. The fleeing soldiers hit their own barbed wire entanglements, set up to slow any Russian pursuit. Now a trap. They pile into the wire, tangled, screaming, unable to advance, unable to retreat, completely exposed. And then, the Russian artillery wakes up. The fortress gunners who survived the gas in the deeper bunkers had been watching, waiting. They open fire. Shells rain down on the tangled mass of German soldiers trapped against their own wire. The accuracy is devastating. What began as a guaranteed German victory is now a scene of complete catastrophe for the Kaiser's forces. The chemical attack, the psychological trap, the artillery ambush. 3 layers of Russian defense, all firing at once. German command watches through telescopes in horrified silence. This was supposed to be over hours ago. The abort order is given, but aborting a rout is not the same as aborting an advance. The damage is done. Kotlinsky collapses somewhere near the second trench line. His men drag him back. He dies within hours. But his death does not stop the momentum. The 13th Company continues to press the counterattack without him. The 60 dead men retake the first defensive line, then the second, meter by meter, step by step. The Russian garrison in the deeper fortress, rallied by the sound of the counterattack, begins to mobilize. More soldiers emerge, wounded men who had sheltered deeper, medics with rifles, anyone who could walk. The German assault on Osowiec officially collapses. The fortress is secured. Losses are calculated by both sides. The Germans lost hundreds in the retreat alone, trapped in wire, shelled by artillery, destroyed by panic. The 13th Company's survivors collapse where they stand. The adrenaline is gone. The poison takes over. Most will die within days. A few will survive, permanently scarred by chemical damage to their lungs and eyes. The fortress held,
but the cost was absolute. The 226th Regiment had been effectively erased as a fighting unit. 17 days later, Russian High Command orders a strategic withdrawal. The fortress is quietly evacuated. The engineers wire every wall, every tunnel, every gun emplacement with explosives. They leave nothing useful behind. When the Germans finally enter Osowiec on August 22nd, they find rubble and silence and a legend. There are no prisoners to question, no trophies to claim, no victory to celebrate, only a ghost fortress.
The German miscalculation. They measured bodies and forgot to measure will. Chemistry has limits. Rage does not. Kotlinsky's charge was not strategy. It was instinct. But instinct, at the right moment, is the deadliest tactic. The real weapon at Osowiec wasn't the gas, wasn't the bayonet. It was the image of death refusing to lie down. August 6th, 1915. The day 60 dying men shattered the logic of an entire empire. Remember their names. If this story gripped you, every week we unbury the battles history tries to bury. Subscribe. Don't miss the next one.